Hare Krishna, Namaste. The question is, what in case our children are not interested in spirituality, in Krishna consciousness? How do we deal that situation? It really concerns me a lot and I mentally get drained thinking about them. I heard in a lecture that one should not become a parent if they can't deliver their children from the cycle of repeated birth and death. I think I am badly failing on this as a parent, and I am afraid what will happen to them and what will happen to me for not able to deliver them from this world. This is the question. First of all, I like to thank you for asking this question. Currently, many don't even know that how important it is to make their children spiritually stronger, to bring them into a spiritual path. Many only focuses on their material needs, material education, and the parents feel they accomplished something great by providing just the material education. But you are very much concerned of your children's spiritual progress. Thank you. In fact, all spiritually devoted parents have this concern about their children. Recently, I met one of my friend here. He has two grown-up kids who are amazing or wonderful. They are toppers both spiritually and materially in material education as well. In fact, one of the girl is well known in the city because she was a topper in her school, and spiritually she does kirtan, she does cooking and many other things. And the father, though he is in a big post in a company, he is pretty much working round the clock in preaching and other related services. And their mother, that is my friend's wife, is also completely dedicated and helps the family spiritually. It's an amazing family to see and to learn. I spoke to another friend of mine who lives in another city. Again, the parents are so very dedicated, devoted. They provided all Krishna consciousness to their kid. But their fear is this kid is moving into high school and getting more exposure to varieties of things, and they can see some changes in their kid that really concerns them. As you quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Guru na sasyat, Swajanan na sasyat, Pita na sasyaj, Janani na sasyat, Daivam na tatsyat, na patischa sasyat, na moshetyah samupeta mrityum. If one cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death, should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. This means it is driving us to be more responsible to the duty that we have taken in our life. A guru is one who focuses on the Atma, the spiritual progress of his disciple, not just the material growth. He is not a guru for us to materially progress. He is our guru for us to spiritually progress and be successful in this very lifetime. Father does the same. He has to make sure his child is Krishna consciousness and progresses. Husband looks after his wife similarly, and the mother does the same thing for their children. And the devatas must also take responsibility to gradually progress their devotees into Krishna consciousness. But the challenge here is changing others may be easy, but to see changes within our family is difficult. If we think we can change our family members, then we are in illusion. Hardest one to see changes are them. Fortunate are those who have spouse devoted, children devoted, parents devoted, in-laws devoted, brothers and sisters are devoted. When we have such a family who are all making spiritual progress together, it's really wonderful. I'm saying fortunate because when all are devotees in a family environment, it's easy for one to practice Krishna consciousness as they move within the families to continue their spiritual practices. For others, not that they cannot, they will have some difficulties and challenges if others are not devotees. They may be forced to compromise certain things. Now, before addressing your question, I like to make some wild assumptions about you. Assumption 1. You have younger children whose age lesser than 10 or 12. The reason I'm making this assumption is that because if they are little grown up than that age, then you will not be mostly asking this question because you would have by now adjusted with them rather than they got adjusted with you and your practices. Assumption 2. Irrespective of your children's age, you have this concern. Then it tells me that you must have started practicing Krishna consciousness in recent years and expecting your children to be like you. The third assumption is you have been in Krishna consciousness for quite long time. You have children who are younger in age, that means you have handle and control of them, but still they are not interested. Mostly you must be falling in one of these categories. If we address the third category that I just said, then the other two may also find answers within our response. First, my question to you, before we can find some solution to your problem, common problem I mean, when did you become Krishna consciousness? Maybe later part of your life, maybe during your college time, before marriage or after marriage. The answer could be any of these things. Or you can say, I just recently became devotee. Anything. So, irrespective of what your response is going to be, as a parent, we need to learn and practice one important habit, that is called patience. Without patience, we cannot deal any kids, any children. We need to have a lot of patience and tolerance. When it comes to others, we try to be patient and tolerant. When it comes to within the family members, our patience and tolerance levels are equal to 0. We may get good names outside, but we may not be in good books inside. That is simply because we don't have patience and tolerance in the house. Please reflect on how you were in your younger age, how your parents were mentally going through challenges to deal with you. Were you born devotee? One may say, well, yes, I am a born devotee because I was born to a devotee family, devotee parents. That's not what born devotee means. Then we are trying to define being a devotee by birth only. Again, it's a caste system. One can only be a devotee irrespective of whether the parents are devotees or not devotees if one practices Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, they are just like any other children. They cannot simply call themselves as born devotee. That doesn't fit well. So please take a moment and think about your childhood time, your youth time, your adult period, etc. How were you during this time? How your parents were dealing with you? You may say that, well, I was certainly not like my kids. I was very good kid. I was cooperative to my parents. I was obedient, respectful, accept their advices and follow as much as I could. Never trouble them. Even now they appreciate me to others. But what I'm going through now with my children is unbelievable. In that case, please consider the kala and desha, the time factor and the place you live with the environment during your period and now compare it. Even in last 10 to 20 years, many things have drastically changed. Our living style, our relationship, many things. Technologies are grown so much that we have the whole world in our hand in a small device called cell phone. We know everything and anything that's happening around the world. So the lifestyle has completely changed and it's still changing. We hardly get with our elders, we hardly get with relatives, we hardly get with friends. We are locked down with computers, laptops, cell phones, etc. The coronavirus locked us down for just 2+ years, but the technology has locked out for eternity, looks like. In fact, our children have lost their mother tongue. Hardly we have answers to our children's responsible, reasonable questions. The shows, movies, songs, ads, everything is driving our children mostly away from God. The school education, their friends also focus on non-spiritual topics only. The games, other entertainments, etc. Nothing reminds our children about God. When they grow up, they are put so much pressure in their education in school and also by parents, which also gives them a reason to be away from Krishna consciousness. So it is not to simply blame just the children. There are many factors involved for the children's growth, especially the time period that was few years back and now. It is very obvious that our children are taking a war against Maya. Some are taking war or some are siding with Maya as they cannot keep up with her. So what we are trying to say here is that the influence on children were less those days. Now it is a lot in these days. But that doesn't mean we give up all our tradition, culture, hope on our children. Rather, we must continue striving to maintain them in Krishna consciousness. Many parents do agree that their kids believe in God. No kids are atheistic. Their children pray. Their children do not hate God. They come to the temple. They pray to God, which are all good signs. But they do not go beyond that point. Therefore, the question is what to do with such kids. Most of the devotee parents want their children to be best in all. They want their child to be fantastic mridanga player, kartal player, kirtan singer, very good in chanting, very attentively, right from the age when they can start speaking. They want their children to give lecture, act nicely in dramas, be very good in artwork, and also they want their children to be highly qualified in all educations, academic education and other skills. These dreams are wonderful. It is like pretty much they want a replica of Narada Muni, but a married Narada Muni. But we need to know that those are exceptional cases, very rare. As we mentioned earlier, these desires will be there if you are a new parent or you have a younger child. But as years passes, parents will get adjusted to the children. Initially, parents may be very aggressive, demanding and commanding their children to spiritually lead and progress and practice, and the children, out of control of their parents, helplessly, also without interest, they may do these things for some years. When the time comes, things will turn around. That is the reality of life when it comes to parent and child. Now the children are coming and asking us, can I do this, mom? Can you buy this, dad? After some time, it's going to be, I did this, mom, I bought this, dad. Or some kids would not even share what they did, what they bought. So let's be prepared for any sort of situation in our life, and these things are expected. Nothing out of the box of parenting. Now let's address some practical solutions. We should know, each parent should know their kid very well by now. If you say you don't know, that means you're not spending much time with your kid. Please do that first before even thinking anything else for them. If you know your kid, then you know what they like and what they don't like when it comes to spirituality, temple, religion, etc. In those spiritual things, what they show interest, keep them engaged in that area. That's number one. Those spiritual things which they refuse to do but will do if you give a little push, then tell them to do those things with love and affection. You can request them. Thirdly, those things which they deny doing, do not force them, but keep them in your mind in backlog for now. One more time, find out their spiritual interests, engage them. Find out what they refuse to do, and if they can step up, insist them. Then find out what they don't like to do, do not force them now. When we apply this technique, what happens is those simple things that they like naturally, they will do it. As they keep doing that, it will develop a spiritual interest internally for them. And that spiritual interest, because of the repeated doing of their interested act spiritually, they will now move on to those items which they were reluctant to do before, but they were doing with interest. We don't need to push them on the second category of spiritual act. And when they start doing that, then that will progress them to the third one, where initially they were not interested to do something in Krishna consciousness. Now they will take that when a little push is given to them. This technique is nothing new. We are followers of Krishna. Krishna used the same technique in the 12th chapter in verse 8 through 11, 8, 9 and 11. Krishna's initial requirement was fix up your mind upon me and engage all your intelligence in me. Mayyeva mana adishtva mai buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samsayaha. Arjuna said, Krishna, that is very difficult for me to do. I deny, I will not be able to do that. Sorry. And Krishna said, well, if you can't do that one, think about my auspicious qualities. Arjuna said, I can't think of anyone else's qualities. If there is anything, think about myself, I will do that one. Krishna said, can you just work for me? Do some temple services, build a temple, wash pots, etc. Well, I can only serve for myself. I can't do service for anyone else. And Krishna said, then you focus on yourself. Do your karma yoga. Can you do that? I can do that because that's all related to me. Then I will certainly do that. So Krishna's idea was, when you do karma yoga, that gives chitta suddhi, it purifies one's mind, that will lead one to take up services. Then that person will show interest to hear more about Krishna's qualities, and lastly that person can fix their mind completely and fully in Krishna consciousness. So we follow the same path that Krishna has given to our children as well. Secondly, we must also know that the kids have come with their own karma vasana package. We have no power to change those things. Also, we should know we are not the one who can give liberation, moksha to our children or to any of our dependents. We facilitate to the best, and leave the rest to Krishna. The third reason that children may not show interest could be because of their learning experience that they gained within the family and the friend circle. The parents may be Krishna consciousness, but their behaviors at home may be completely opposite to what Krishna consciousness teaches us. They may be harsh, angry, rude, disrespectful, the fight between father and mother, or the conversation that takes place between their father and mother about other devotees' behavior. Sometimes the parents openly speak about complaining and blaming other devotees right in front of their children. These things are add up to the children to get aversion towards Krishna consciousness. They may show less interest even though they may be in Krishna consciousness environment. They don't show the same respect to other devotees. They don't value what they have because of these reasons. So it may appear children are not interested in Krishna consciousness, but actually it's a negative feeling that they have gained in Krishna consciousness through their interaction, through their observation within the family environment or within the devotee family circle. That is why it is said that it takes a village to bring up a child. It is not a simple statement. Now, to resolve these things, let's see. First thing is, as parents, we must be true in our practices. We must be an example to our children. If we say chant well, we have to make sure that we are chanting well. If we say be respectful, we have to be respectful. If we say you don't eat these things, then you don't eat these things. The next thing we can do to our children is to provide an opportunity for them to interact with someone outside of our family who is also a devotee, a trustable, practicing devotee. Because many times after some period, parents may not be able to communicate with their children what they wish to. They need a third person who can communicate their wishes to their own kids. So it is best for parents to connect when their kids are in young age with someone else outside them, so that person can be a good friend to your child. That could be your family member, an uncle, an aunt, or some other devotees. The third point is parents must be very open to their children's questions, children's feedback, input. Give them accessibility. If they don't have accessibility to express their opinion to you, then they are going to look someone else outside your family and start doing things without your knowledge. As the children grows, better to become good friends with them. I was talking to a couple of youth over here. These two girls were nice family, from a nice family, but they were saying how the parents try to control them in each and everything that they do. And they also expressed once such kids gets an opportunity to get out of the house, they are the one who start to explore and experience many things of this world without their parents' knowledge. So this is applicable whether you are a devotee, practicing devotee or not. One has to be very careful how we treat, how our relationship are with our children. If they don't have an open conversation with us, at least to one of the parent, then there is something that need to be addressed sooner than later. So to summarize what we have seen so far, the first thing is to maintain patience and tolerance. Number 2, connect our children with a reliable, trustable, practicing devotee. Number 3, create a spiritual community for our children where they can mingle, happily with other spiritually devoted family children. Number 3, encourage their spiritual interest and gradually help them progress to the next levels. Number 4, make sure you are setting an example yourself to your children. Number 5, irrespective of whether they are Krishna consciousness or not, be kind, compassionate, affectionate towards them. Number 6, continue your prayers for your children to become nice devotee. You can be a best person to everyone. You can be a wonderful kirtan lead. You can be a best cook. You can be a best preacher. You can be a best book distributor. You may be appreciated by everyone for your services, but no one else can be a best parent than yourself to your children. So keep that in mind as you're working with your children. From your side, you do the best, but ultimately it is between Krishna and your child. They have their own relationship. You are an instrument for them to progress spiritually, but you are not the controller. We do our best as parent to bring them in Krishna consciousness in whatever way that will help your child. If we don't do that, then we are committing mistake as parent, and that is what that sloka from Bhagavatam says. So trying is our duty, but the end result we don't define it. So if we don't help our children to grow in Krishna consciousness, then we are not the right parent, we are committing mistake. If we try and still they are not becoming Krishna consciousness, it is not our mistake. We did our duty as a parent, but the rest is left to that individual and Krishna's will. One last note, even after doing all these things, later in your life you find out nothing worked out, be happy that a certain part of your karma has been drained. Thank you. Hare Krishna.